What the city is talking about.
The news that impacts you.
Welcome to the Montreal Now podcast
with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall.
Welcome to the week that was here on the iHeartRadio network. I'm Aaron Rand along with Natasha Hall, and this week we'll take a look at these stories. After bar and restaurant owners went on a full-scale media blitz to alert Canadians about a potential 6% tax hike on the price of beer, the federal government paid attention and dropped it down to 2%. But even with that, Canadians are now paying more than ever for their beer. We'll talk to the president of Beer Canada to explain why.
And we'll talk about something that no one likes to talk about, but it's got to be done. What happens after you die? Where do you start in terms of all the personal papers and possessions? You don't want to leave a mess for your loved ones. Well, she wrote the book, If You Love Them, Leave Them Lists.
Chances are you know someone, or possibly you, collect something, but it's unlikely to be what our guest collects. You're going to meet the man who has a 2,000 pair collection of Crocs, the shoes, not the animal.
I love that story, and I love this one too. And we begin with this. In every difficult situation, there are those people who immediately step up to help out. Montrealers were trying to cope without power after the ice storm last week. I'm sure you've heard all about it. Somewhere in the dark for a week, and yet managed to make the most of it, like FIONA GRIFFITHS. She is something else. This story is guaranteed to put a smile on your face. It's something no one really likes to think about, never mind talk about. When someone dies, then what? What do you do next? Who needs to be called? What about all your personal papers? What would you not want them to discover about you? And what kind of a mess are you leaving for your loved ones to figure out? Well, she has written a book that tackles all that. It's If You Love Them, Leave Them Lists. Author Catherine RAHAL joins us now. Thanks for your time today, Catherine.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like, as I was reading what this book is all about, I feel like you probably wrote the book that you wish you'd had when you were going through this. Is that so?
I think that's partly true. It's also true that I worked in financial services for many years, so I watched my clients go through some of this as well. But what really got me started was when my brother-in-law passed away, he left a notebook for his wife, and that stuck with me. When my husband died in 1983, so eons ago, we didn't have anything, and I knew where everything was, so that wasn't as big a problem. But down the road, when it came to dealing with my parents, and when I talked to clients who'd had all kinds of issues when they were sorting things out, I just felt that this was something that needed to get put on paper.
Yeah, this idea that a simple notebook that your brother-in-law left behind could make things so much easier for the loved ones trying to make sense of it all, right?
Well, I think that's true, and I think we live a little bit differently now than we did 40 years ago when my husband died. We have a huge digital footprint, and I'm starting to see that that's becoming a problem for people. There are people who've gone through all kinds of agonies and getting their Apple machines sorted out, because Apple's notoriously difficult when it comes to estate things. What do you do with a Facebook account? How do you get into the banking if all the banking is online? An acquaintance of mine lost her mother-in-law, and nobody could get into her computer. What do you do?
So what do you do? Where do you start it? And I'm thinking, I mean, just this, it's a daunting process, I think, to think about your own mortality and think about how you want people to handle it after you're gone. So what's the starting point, Catherine?
Well, I think that the first thing you think about is, most of us have some insurance in place, and a lot of people have wills, although not everybody wants to do one, but most people do have one, and they have other documents like a power of attorney and a mandate in the event of incapacity. So I think it's important to get documents in place first that you can do with a notary. And then you start going through your things, and I think as we get older, we look at maybe decluttering a little bit. Trying to give stuff away to your kids, though, isn't always easy, because they've already got their stuff. They don't want yours. And stuff is difficult to sell if it's not collectible. There's so much stuff to deal with. And you have to look at all the different things. You can take this one step at a time. You can start just by using the different sections in the book. You start with people. So who are the people in your life? Who are the caregivers? Who is your banker? Who is your accountant? Who are the people you care about that would need to be notified? what kind of volunteer activities are you involved in where people would need to know? And then you can move on to paper and list everything that is important, all the important documents. Your social insurance number is very important. Where your documents are, where's your will, where's your mandate. Those are all things that people are going to need if they're taking care of you or if they're taking care of your estate. You'll want to list your money. What do you own and what do you owe, if anything? You should list your assets as well as your debts, where your investments are, if you have any. If you have a business, you need a succession plan for your business. And while we haven't addressed that specifically, we have mentioned it, and that's maybe a separate document that needs to be done. This book is primarily designed for personal use. We've left a lot of space for digital footprint because you don't just need your user and password, but you need those security questions as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to your stuff, what do you want done with it? Is it going to someone in particular? Can it be donated? Can it be, do you want it to go to a refugee organization? What do you do with it? And if there are items that have value, what should be done with those? My parents had collectible furniture. I sold it at Sotheby's. But that isn't the case in every estate. And then the other thing that's important is, what do you want to be done for your final wishes? Do you want a big funeral? Do you want just a party? Do you want any special kind of music? What do you want? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? That's the place to put it down so that your family knows what you really want. Otherwise, they're left guessing.
I just want to say that as I hear you go through this list, this is incredibly daunting. There is so much to have to take into account here. I wonder, you mentioned you had clients sort of coming to you at one point, which was part of the reason for doing this. Did you find any of them had actually gone to these lengths?
Some people have, actually, and I've seen that in place. But most people don't. So I think that the idea behind this was you could tackle it one section at a time. And the other thing behind it is that it maybe will trigger you to have that conversation with your family that you should have.
I have to say, I really like the idea of putting it in writing so that it's right there and making it easier for people to fulfill your wishes. Catherine, before we run out of time here, I understand you're going to be at the Salon Carrefour 50 Plus, April 14th to 16th, and it's free admission. So people can come and find your book and ask you questions about it?
Yes.
Perfect. So that's at the Montreal Convention Center, April 14th to 16th.
Wow, that's great.
And the book is called If You Love Them, Leave Them Lists. Thank you so much for your time today, Catherine.
Thank you.
If you love them, leave them lists.
That is author Catherine RAHAL.
Who would have thought of that?
Mm-hmm.
Informative.
Interactive.
And always interesting.
This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall.
I think we're going to start to hear more and more of these now that people have made it through the height of the crisis and most people have their power back. I think now we can start to turn to some of the good things that have come out of this. And one of the most beautiful things is people coming together to help each other out.
Yeah, that sharing thing, which a couple of people, when we were taking calls, actually pointed out. I had someone come over, a neighbor, so they could take a shower here. I know they've been out for 4 days or 5 days. This kind of fits into that.
It does indeed. So there was a residence in Beaconsfield, the Jardin Beaurepaire, and they lost their power during the storm. And our next guest just went out above and beyond to help. She's a retired nurse, a very experienced camper.
That helps.
And so she had everything she needed to weather the storm herself. But not only did she weather it herself, she helped other people get through it with love, warmth, and cappuccinos to boot. Fiona Griffiths joins us now. Hi, Fiona.
Hello. Thank you very much for that.
So tell us a little bit about what the experience was like for you first before we find out more how you were helping others. When did you lose power, or did you?
We lost power Wednesday about 3 o'clock, and we got our power back yesterday at 4.
Oh, boy.
And we've had a few power outages here. 3 or 4 hours because it's a tree thing. But we did have a 10-hour one, and then at that time I got out my Coleman stove and my Primus stove and plugged in my landline antique dial phone.
Nice.
And put batteries in the radio, and we were all ready to go.
Boy, are you all prepared?
Yeah,
Wow.
is that how you kind of go through life, Fiona? Are you just always ready for any kind of emergency?
Yeah, I'm a Air Force brat. Did a lot of Girl Guides, all the camping stuff, and was very lucky to work with some people at Vanier when they were doing wilderness camping and outdoor education. So I can sort of, I've been cooking for 16 to 20 people on the 2-burner Como stove and a Primus, and we've been having gourmet meals. Thanks to everybody's donations, because we cleaned out our freezers.
Wait, I want to know, so if I was to drive out to Beaconsfield where you are the next time this happens, did you say gourmet meals are being prepared?
Yeah, well, my sister and my niece, who's a chef, my sister's an amazing cook. I sort of had to up my cooking skills thanks to those two. So, and I do like my sauces and all that stuff. So we were having lemon chicken one night with garlic mashed potatoes and sweet potato mash, and we were having roast pork loin, and we had mixed veggies, and it was just it was really fun. People had lots of food, and we have 2 gas fires in our apartment building in the foyer. We have a lounge in the foyer with a gas fire and a nice lounge upstairs with a gas fire. So the one thing we were not was cold, except when people went to bed at night, and I'm running around trying to remind everybody that there is such a thing as a hot water bottle, and I have the hot water. So I also have 3 hot water bottles, and up-de-dump, I have 2 headlamps and a whole bunch of lanterns. So,
listen, Fiona, when we get done with the interview, stay on the line. I need to get your address, okay?
Okay. You're more than welcome to come anytime.
I want to be your neighbor, but what I'm wondering is, like, as you're making these meals and you're able to, to tend to people, did word kind of spread? Did more and more people start showing up as the power outages went on?
No, we're a small seniors 55-plus building, but a lot of people are 80 and more. And we know one another quite well. We have Saint-Cassettes on Friday, and people come with their cocktails. So we're pretty community oriented. But this time it really went up a couple of notches. We have 4 people who were somewhat apartment bound, and immediately we were getting them coffee and taking them food. And at one point, I gave one person a radio because he was very stressed. So but we all felt there was so much good that happened. We were all together for meals. We were sitting in a warm environment in the, somewhat dark. And by what really lucked out for us was by I think the 3rd day, our landlord got the generator going to work the sump pump, and then we got power bars through extension. We got power bars into the lounge so people could now charge their phone. Because I was the public phone building
with your plug-in one.
That's great.
With your so it's an old rotary phone.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't. There's a major telephone company, and all their lines are underground. So when the power goes out, I have always had a landline. I'm not a cell phone fancier. Yeah. I'm not interested. I do have one in my car now, so I can call 911 or CAA. But I've always had a landline. I much prefer it.
So Fiona, when you look back on this time, and there's going to be a lot of people who don't remember it fondly at all, who are going to be very upset and who were very inconvenienced. Do you think you will look back on this kind of fondly as how everybody came together?
I will, because we really did have fun. However, we really applauded all the hydro workers that worked their butt off hours after hours after hours. We really appreciated their work. However, there's a sense of betrayal amongst a lot of people by the politicians, by the people who don't do the work and worry more about getting elected than they do about doing the right thing. So there's a sense of betrayal there, and these are older people who are used to believing in their government and had a whole other life pre-Obama and Trump. And so it's sometimes hard to forget that we're in a new world now for people of our age. And so I'm thinking back fondly, there are 3 or 4 people in this building who are not going to return to their blackout selves, that there is going to be a deficit there. There's going to be some problems for them.
Really?
And that upsets me. But again, we live in a very treed area. Infrastructure maintenance is not popular. It doesn't get you votes. So our trees have not been cut back properly off the wires. And that was a major issue in Beaconsfield.
So, and all this, because you make so many good points,
You're
this is
so
not
right.
going to cause you to move, though, right? You're going to stay where you are?
No, this is a wonderful building.
Okay.
I'm 72, going on 55. So
Clearly.
I'm really enjoying myself here.
That's
I've
great.
made some really good friends. I have people who are 85 and 89 who are inspiring me to get old gracefully. And I teach stuff across the street in the church. I teach fitness. I love Beaconsfield. The neighborhood is wonderful. We have a great little village, and and we've got lungs, man. We've got trees, so we have good air here. So I really am glad I moved here.
And I understand you just taught a yoga class and people were glad to have the power back. And it sounds to me like they're just glad to have you around, Fiona.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a hospital-trained nurse. We're trained to take care of a village. Okay? So that doesn't leave.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
Fiona
you did just
Griffith,
that.
you are a shining star. We thank you so much for coming on with us and for doing everything you have done. And keep up the great work. What a great, great story. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And just remember, it was everybody in the building. We all pulled together.
It's what it takes.
I'm kind of
you.
smitten.
That's what it
I'm trying to give credit elsewhere. I'm kind of smitten. What a pleasure, Fiona Griffiths.
Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you very much, and have a great day. I
too.
enjoy listening to you guys.
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
What a great story.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
72 going on 55.
Clearly.
Over to 45.
Clearly.
Informative,
Interactive,
and always interesting.
This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall.
I am so excited about this. I've been seeing
About
this guy.
Crocs, really?
About meeting this guy.
Okay.
He's been all over social media, all over the news. His name is DOOGIE LISH SANDTIGER. I'm not making that up. That is his real name. He's from Connecticut, and he may have set a Guinness World Record for having the biggest collection of Crocs. The shoes we're talking about here, those sandals or whatever you want to, made of that rubbery stuff. I don't even know what it is. DOOGIE has over 2,000 pairs. It's hard to keep up because he keeps adding to his collection. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to tell us what you collect and why. But first, let's meet DOOGIE LISH SANDTIGER. Hi, DOOGIE.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. How about you?
I'm fantastic, always.
So what's the latest count? How many pairs do you own?
I am now up to 2,151 pairs. I bought like 6 more today.
What?
Yep, I had to do it.
Okay. And are you buying just you're not usually buying just your run-of-the-mill regular ones that anybody can find, right?
I do get those too, but I love to hunt down the exclusive and rare and really interesting pairs as well. Those I have preferential treatment for, but I collect them all.
I wish you could see
There
Aaron.
are rare Crocs?
Yes,
How?
there
Really?
are. Yeah. And
Rare how? What, different color, different style? What's rare in Crocs?
Different styles that make them super unique, collaborations with big name brands, big name artists, and limited quantities make them super rare. It's no different than like sneaker culture with the Jordan shoes or Nikes.
Duh, Aaron.
Oh, yeah, of
Duh.
course. Duh for me.
What?
Yeah, well, wait a sec. There's a story yesterday. They sold a pair of Michael Jordan sneakers for $2.2 million, right? That's the most paid, I think, ever for a pair. What's the most, as far as Crocs go, what? I mean, if you were going to get a really exclusive one, what would that go for? Do you know?
So the most I've ever paid for a pair was $2,600. It's U.S. dollars, but they do go for thousands.
Really?
Thousands.
I thought you had to pay people to wear Crocs. I didn't know you could actually sell them and,
Okay,
and
listen,
make money.
don't be
Don't
dissing.
say that.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
I'm sorry,
Thank you,
okay.
Doogie. Don't be dissing his collection. So you've got, would you say 2,152?
151, but now you're like setting it into existence. I have to buy one more now to make that accurate.
Oh, like you were going to stop anyway, Doogie.
True.
Now, do
Very
people
true.
send
I
you?
have a pair that I'd like to perhaps consider selling to you. I bought a pair, what you call like
No.
flip-flops, to go to the beach.
Just
But
say no,
I didn't even
Doogie.
know Crocs made those. I bought them. They're too small. Would you like them?
Sure. Listen, this is what people don't realize. Crocs makes everything. They make a different style or pair for every person. There's
Yeah.
not one person that they don't make a pair for. I promise if you're a Croc hater, there's a pair for you.
Well, you made me love them because I have to tell you, I have never been a huge Croc fan, but watching you and looking at your collection and some of the beautiful pairs you possess, you've kind of got me on board. But I love your backstory too, Doogie. So why did this collection start in the first place?
The biggest reason was the fact that when I was younger, I grew up in the foster care system and I didn't know how to tie my shoes. So Crocs was kind of an escape away from that. It was a way to mask the fact that I couldn't tie my shoes because they didn't have laces and I could just slip them on and kind of get away with it amongst my classmates and peers.
So they made you feel good and made you feel better about your situation. Did they still make you feel that way?
They still do. I love them. And
Great.
now it's transcended beyond the Crocs themselves. It's about connecting with people, connecting with others. I work with children in the foster care system as well, and it creates this form of communication. It's kind of like an icebreaker for a lot of people, and it helps me break out of my shell. Even to this day, I'm still shy around a lot of things, but Crocs helps me communicate with other people.
It's a really nice
in and of
story.
itself, it's a form of communication.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Do you buy them to sell, though? Is the idea just to collect as many as you can possibly collect?
I am just a sole collector. I never sell. I've never tapped
Wow.
into the resale market. I'm trying to get enough stock to, well, I probably do have enough, but I want to open up a Croc museum, call it the Crocmuseum, where people can see all the artwork that I've put together and all the projects I've worked on over the last 16 years. I've been collecting for 16 years. Haven't sold one single pair.
That's amazing. And some you never wear, right?
Correct. Some are just strictly, they're so beautiful and so much art in them that I just use them strictly as decor pieces around my house. No different than somebody putting up a painting or a cool statue or a cool piece of decor. Crocs to me it's art, it's decor, and I like to adorn my home with them. And it's just art. I love it so much.
That's
I'm
cool.
so passionate.
Has the company been in touch with you? They must obviously know what you're doing.
To them, this is like free advertising
Yeah.
because I'm posting all the time and I've got them so many new fans and followers, but they've had a kick out of some of my photos over the years that went viral. A bunch of the international Croc sites retweeted or reposted or Instagrammed pictures of me, and they just, the flame keeps going, and there's no end in sight. I love it. They love it. Everybody loves it.
That's great.
Yeah, they should hire you though, because you're a real character, and there's so much love behind this story. So I have to ask you. Speaking of love, I think it's probably like asking you to choose a favorite child. But do you have an all-time favorite pair?
But I'm usually kind of biased to the ones that are more expensive just for monetary purposes. If I pay several thousands of dollars a pair, I'll gravitate towards it. But in reality, there's not really a pair that's my favorite. I have like a group of maybe 10 pairs that I maybe love a little more than the others, but you are correct. And it's really hard because they are like my children. But my default answer usually is my favorite pair is the next one because I'm going to get
good
another one.
answer.
I'm going to get more, and it'll
Okay.
always keep me like happy for that hunt and keep me going in that hunt to
So-
hunt down the next pair.
I didn't see the story that Natasha did. Where can people see your collection online?
So I have a Crocs Instagram page. It's at Doogie Lish, DOOGIELISH, and I have thousands and thousands of pictures and videos of my Crocs and my Croc collection and other things like Croc memorabilia, Croc art, all on display in my little mini Croc cave, which is kind of like a museum. But like I said, I want to open up an actual museum one day for the whole world to see. But check out the Crocs Instagram page. It's got everything. And I might
Okay.
convert a lot of the people who don't like Crocs out there.
I'm one of them. I'm addicted to your Instagram page now too, because it's just, and you're so likable. I was like, I got to meet Doogie. It's so awesome. Congratulations. And when will we find out about this Guinness World Record?
I'm keeping it going right now. My goal is to reach 3,000, and I'm going to reassess at 3,000 pairs. So could be next month, could be next year. You know,
Okay.
I like to keep everybody waiting, keep it spontaneous and fun, and that's part of the art of this and the beauty of the collecting is just going with it and keep it going.
So I was serious when I said, should I throw the ones I have that don't fit out, or can I send them to you? Would you be okay with like Croc slides, like those shoes?
Absolutely. Don't ever throw away a pair. That is disrespectful to the Croc.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't do that.
All right, tell our producer,
Absolutely.
Emily, when we get done, give her your address, and I will send you the pair that I have that I would have thrown out or given away to somebody else. But you might as well keep them with yours, and
Doogie,
I'll sign them or something.
And make sure you let us know when you do open that museum. We'll have you back on,
Absolutely.
Okay?
Amazing. I can't wait.
Great to meet
All
you.
right.
That is Doogie Lish SANDTIGER. As you heard, he's got, we think, the biggest collection of Crocs in the world. He's working on it. It's getting bigger every day.
Informative,
interactive, and always interesting.
This is Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall.
Seems to me not that long ago, the concern for people in the bar business was the federal government, was going to institute a 6% tax, right? Which would have driven beer prices up.
Yeah.
Well, as it turns out, the industry, and we talked to someone about this who's on the line with us right now, CJ HELIE. CJ, do you remember we spoke about this, about the tax, and you're saying the government better not do this or else?
Absolutely.
Well,
they
they didn't do it. So let me intro. Hold on. Before we get to it, I've selected a special piece of music to intro this discussion on beer.
CJ.
Brian?
I wasn't born for digging deep holes. I'm not made for paving long roads. I ain't cut out to climb high-line poles, but I'm pretty good at drinking beer.
There you go. A little belly current, and I thought that was a good way in. So, CJ, thank you for coming back, and now try to explain. You didn't get the 6% hike, which was great news, yet people are now complaining that the price of beer has gone up an awful lot. Why?
So we were generally successful in convincing the government that adding a 6.3% beer tax increase at the same time as brewers were facing all these other cost increases would have been lunacy. So they dropped the tax increase from 6.3% to 2%. So that did mitigate some of the impact, but it did not fix the underlying cost pressures that were part of the reason why the government was open to taking a look at this year's inflation-based increase.
Okay, so talk to us about some of those. What are the other factors that are coming into the play of the price of beer going up?
So specifically, Canadian brewers have faced about a 70% increase in barley. So barley is the major grain that Canadian brewers use to make our beer. Packaging costs, like every other agri-food processing company in Canada, has faced about a 40% increase in their costs. And transport costs, beer is a very heavy product that we truck around the province, those rates have about doubled in the last 12, 14 months.
So my question would be, from people reacting, I think we all assumed when the 6% didn't kick in, things would be okay and pretty much stay the same. So obviously they haven't. Are you hearing from people in the business that, customers are complaining?
Not complaining, but they are very concerned where this might lead to, right? Beer prices in Quebec are up about 6.5% over a year ago, which is about half the rate of food inflation, but way more than we usually expect for beer prices. So both the retail consumer is feeling a little bit of a menu shock, but they're also feeling it when they go to a bar or restaurant and seeing the prices there. So there is a definite concern whether the market can bear this kind of increase or not. And so I think every brewer is making a whole bunch of different decisions by brand to figure out how much of the cost increases they're facing they can pass along and when.
So, CJ, I want to know, will people drink less beer because of it? And is there any hope that the price will come back down?
So I'd say consumers have already cut back on their beer purchasing and beer drinking because of the price impact over the last 12 months. And what we're trying to do, what brewers are trying to do, is mitigate the impact of these cost increases they're facing, but they're sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. They have to pay these increased costs, and they're figuring out how best to manage their businesses to cut costs where they can, but some of it has to flow into the price of the consumer is paying, unfortunately.
Will it go down?
Not going to change in a hurry, doesn't seem, huh?
I don't want to pay more for my beer, CJ.
Well, hopefully, there'll be some sales at select retailers, particularly for events like Saint Jean Baptiste Day and those kind of things. But a general decline in beer prices, I would say, would be a little optimistic at this point, given where costs are for Canadian brewers.
Woe is us.
There's a
CJ
tear
Haley from
in my
Beer Canada. Thank you, CJ, I think.
My pleasure.
All right.
Next time we'll have better news to talk
I hope
about.
so. That wraps up another edition of The Week That Was here on the iHeartRadio Network. I'm Aaron Rand along with Natasha Hall, and we will see you next week.
Have a fantastic week.
This has been the Montreal Now podcast with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall
Listen live on your radio weekday afternoons from 2 to 6
on CJAD 800.
or through the iHeartRadio app.